of the Consolidated Commission on Utilities. This is our regular monthly meeting. For the record, those present in the room are myself, Commissioner Chaco, Commissioner Sanchez, and Commissioner Santos. And on the line is Commissioner Martinez. He's off island, but he's on the line with us. So, Miguel, you're up first, right?
Approval of the minutes, Mr. Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm jumping the gun. Okay, so approval of the minutes.
Motion to accept.
Second. Any further discussion? No. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Is there any public comment? No? Okay, so now, Miguel, you're up to bat.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We went through the management report at the work session, so unless the board must...
go straight to the resolution.
Okay, I'll start with...
Mr. Chair, just at some point, either afterwards or there was a decision on the rates made last night. Can we get a report on that?
We'll do that after we go through the resolutions. We'll give a short recap.
Okay, first up is Resolution 30 FY 2024, and I'll ask AGM Budasi to prepare this.
CFO.
Oh, sorry, CFO's first. This is receivables.
Good afternoon. Before you is Resolution 30 FY 2024, which is a request to write off receivables of $1,071,981, which consists of 1,540 customers. The detail breakdown is part of the exhibit that's attached to the resolution, which breaks it down into customer class and fiscal year. This is, we do this annually, and it's a prudent financial policy, and would ask that you consider approving it, and happy to answer any questions.
Telling this is like 0.7% of our total revenues. It's de minimis, yeah.
Right. We were lucky with the COVID, during the COVID period, we had a lot of government assistance programs that helped our customers pay off not only their current bills, but some past due.
Yeah, move to approve resolution number 30 FY 2024 relative to approving the charge-off of GWA receivables deemed uncollectible.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Chaco. Any further discussion? No? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries with 4 aye votes, and Commissioner Martinez is signifying that he's voting aye also. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The next issue on the agenda is Resolution 33-FY 2024. This is relative to the creation and approval of the wastewater operations engineer. The importance for establishing this position is so that we have an engineer that's 100% dedicated to supporting the operations division. The role of the position is to assist the AGMO and the water and wastewater teams in addressing both their large-scale projects and their day-to-day operational challenges. The position will provide engineering expertise that's focused exclusively on operations, and it will fill an existing knowledge gap between the CIP design and construction and the GWA systems and how they operate. Another objective that this position is going to achieve is to help embed engineers within our operations division. This provides a pathway for those engineers that don't necessarily want to get their PEs to move into operations, get their certifications, their EPA certifications on the water and wastewater side. This will be, the position itself will report into the operations division. The salaries start at a minimum of $100,609, and the maximum range is $104,687, I believe. The position will be can be advertised 30 days after approval by the CCU, and the funding source would be from revenues.
Any questions?
Motion to approve resolution 33-FY 2024.
Further discussion? No? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Leroy? Aye. Okay.
Next, Mr. Chair, on the agenda is Resolution 34, FY 2024. And this is a resolution seeking the CCU's endorsement of an application that GWA would like to submit to the Bureau of Reclamation via their Water Smart Planning and Project Design Grant Funding program. And this would assist us with attaining federal grants for the rehabilitation of the Santa Rita Springs facility, which would improve the amount of water that we are able to draw from the springs and reduce our reliance on Navy water purchases.
Motion to approve resolution 34-FY 2024.
Motion by Commissioner, second by Commissioner Santos. Any further discussion? None? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We recognize the aye and Commissioner Martinez. Unanimous. Approval.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next resolution is 35-FY 2024, and this is seeking additional funding for an existing design services contract for the Duncan Beach Sewer Line Relocation Project. The board will recall that this is something that we have already started working on, and with the recent developments of the passage of the partial consent, entering of the partial consent decree in district court, there are several requirements that could be addressed by this project. In addition, due to the effects of recent heavy weather, including Typhoon Mawar, the erosion in the waterway adjacent to the Bayside Pump Station has caused the embankment to fail in certain places and narrowing the access road that we use to get to the pump station. So in order to address those two things, some additional design work is necessary, and this petition seeks to authorize us for an additional $633,000 for the work that would be described, was described, and this includes a 10% contingency, so it would bring the total authorized funding amount to $1.3 million, and this is all EPA grant funded.
Motion to approve resolution 35-FY 2024.
Second.
Second, Commissioner Santos. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 And we recognize Commissioner Martinez's aye and online. Okay, unanimous. Next issue.
Next, Mr. Chair, is Resolution 36, FY 2024, and this again is seeking additional funding for an existing project. This is the Fujita Sewage Pump Station Rehabilitation and Redundant Force Main Project. The board will recall that this was another project that was initiated some time ago. In November of 2023, we came to the board seeking additional funding to include pump station rehabilitation, again in line with the partial consent decree. And during the conduct of that work, it was discovered that in order to facilitate the actual construction work, a bypass would be needed, and there is an existing, the old pump station that was replaced when the Fujita pump station was constructed is still in existence on that same piece of property and could be used as a potential method to bypass the pump station for the work that would be needed during construction. So the additional design work needed to investigate that and also do design it so that we could incorporate it into the construction requires an additional funding amount. The proposal for that was $435,000 with a 10% contingency being requested. So that would increase the previously authorized funding amount of $1.84 million by an additional $398,000 for a new authorized funding amount of $2.24 million. So that's what we're seeking, and this would be funded using a combination of grants and potentially some bond funds.
Motion to approve resolution 36-FY 2024.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Santos. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. Miguel, I know that part of the funding will go towards determining whether the defunct unit can be used as a bypass. What level of confidence do they have? Is it just is it a shot in the dark, or is it they have a high level of confidence that it can be rehabilitated?
There's a high level of confidence that it can be rehabilitated, but we have included in the scope of work documents that we're only going to authorize them to proceed with the initial assessment to confirm that. And once that's confirmed, then if we can use it, then we will authorize the remaining funding for the design.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the only question I had.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. We acknowledge the aye vote of Commissioner Martinez. It's unanimous.
Okay, the last item for decision is Resolution 37, FY 2024, and this is seeking approval of additional funding for the Hagatna wastewater treatment plant causeway and facility structural analysis project. As I explained during the work session, this project originally involved repairing some of the issues on the causeway, but because of the partial consent decree and the need to repair the force main from the Agana main pump station, there is additional work that we would like the designer to incorporate, which would include repairing the causeway work, but also routing of a temporary bypass so that we can accomplish the completion of the rehabilitation of the force main from the Hagatna main pump station out to the treatment plant. And that would be routed on the causeway, in addition to some other equipment and facility structural and process upgrades. So the additional amount for that, the change order number 3 is $116,000. We're seeking a 10% contingency, and that altogether with the existing authorized change orders puts us slightly above my procurement authority. So the total authorized amount would now be $1.165 million. We anticipate getting this done, the design completed in April, and then the construction would follow that.
Yeah, I move to approve GWA Resolution number 37-FY 2024 relative to approval of the additional funding for the Hagatna wastewater treatment plant causeway and facility structural analysis project.
Okay.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Mchako. No further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed. We acknowledge the aye of Commissioner Martinez. Unanimous, 5 votes. Now, Miguel, give us a short recap on the decision that was made last night by the PUC. Okay, first off, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the rate case last night, there were 2 contested issues out of all the issues that both GWA and its consultants and the PUC's consultants considered throughout the adjudication of the rate case. Those 2 issues were the funding of the rate stabilization fund, or replenishing of the rate stabilization fund. GWA requested a one-time increase of 1.5% in fiscal year 2026 to generate $2.5 million a year to be put into the reserve, so that by fiscal year 29 we would have replenished the reserve to a level of $10 million. The Commission might recall that when we initially established the rate stabilization fund, our initial funding amount was $11.4 million, and so this doesn't bring it up to what it was and what had to be depleted, but that was our request. On that issue, the PUC decided agreed that it did need to be refunded, despite Georgetown's position that it didn't. They recognized the importance of having the reserve to mitigate any potential adverse impacts to our debt service coverage ratio and the bond indenture requirements of the minimum 1.25 times debt service coverage. And they also acknowledged the importance of the reserve and a the full 5-year rate plan as opposed to 1 year at a time rate increases, to our credit rating and to the bond rating agencies that, support our process for getting the capital we need to fund our CIP.
Hopefully, helping us to get a good interest rate.
Right,
If
exactly.
you have
to lower the
good
cost
rate
of borrowing.
support, you have good interest rate.
So they did
which
recognize
benefits our
that.
ratepayers.
Yes, sir. They did recognize that, and but they did not agree with funding the entire amount that we requested.
It's going to
So
take us a little more time.
they authorized half of that amount, 2.5 million a year. So we are authorized 1.25 million a year, and so there was a corresponding decrease in the rate requested for fiscal year 26.
But I think they left open, if I remember correct, certainly correct, they left open the fact that in the next 5-year rate plan, we can bring up this issue again to see if we can continue.
My recollection was that they agreed that the 10 million level was fine, and they were
Yeah,
okay
that's
with
it.
us taking a little longer, even if it goes into the next 5-year plan.
Fine, okay.
So that was the one issue that was contested. The other issue that was contested was whether to apply a credit card convenience fee for GWA customers. Georgetown's position was it should not be included as an expense item of the authority, and it should be passed on to the customers individually who make those charges. GWA's position was that it should be absorbed as an expense, the cost of doing business in the modern economic climate, and with the high level of convenience that we're trying to create for our customers, and also mindful of the CCU's direction in trying to make sure that GPA and GWA customers have a seamless customer experience regardless of where they're paying their bills. And so aligning with GPA on this, we would leave things as they are and not apply the convenience fee. And so the commission voted, the Public Utilities Commission voted to in our favor on that, and voted down the application of a separate credit card convenience fee. On the stipulation that we entered into with Georgetown on all the other issues, the commission voted to approve that, and so it became, or will become part of the final order that is issued once the ALJ puts that out. We have, after the decision last night, worked with our financial consultants to finalize the rate application model so that we have final numbers to provide to the PUC, the ALJ. We transmitted those this afternoon, and I've provided a copy of the corresponding schedules that indicate the final rate increases that should be approved in that rate order. And just for the record, they are for the first year in fiscal year 2025, 11.5%, which includes a lifeline rate increase of that same amount. And then for fiscal year 26, that our original proposal was reduced based on the RSF decision, so that is 10.75%, and then the remaining 3 years at 7.75% each year.
Each year. And of course, this is all subject to an annual
Annual
true-up.
yes.
So every year. And the last thing I wanted to notice, they, shoot, my mind's going on. Commissioner Sanchez, you had a question, I know.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair, thank you, Miguel. So, for FY 2025, if I'm reading, and please correct me if I'm not, Schedule A2 correctly, they approved in effect a 11.5% non-lifeline rate increase, right? Okay,
And a lifeline rating.
and, I'm sorry, 11.5% rate increase. What was our original request? Was it the 11.5? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got basically what we wanted, right? So, and then the last 3 years, well, I mean, that's just our rate plan, right? We're gonna battle that. Okay, so they approved everything we wanted in terms of, we wanted an 11.5% rate hike, and that's what we got, right? Okay, and then, so that's good. If I do the math right, it looks like our water and wastewater revenues go up 14.8 million. I'm looking at forecast year 2025. Water rates go up 9.4 million, and wastewater rates, revenues go up 5.4. So that's a 14.8, almost a $15 million revenue increase. Am I reading that correctly?
Yep.
Okay, all right. And then we notice our good friends in the Navy have raised our water purchase rates $8 million a year. So the simple math is if we got 14.8, but we had to use 8 of the 14.8 to pay the Navy their exorbitant water rate increase, 54% of this rate increase that our ratepayers will start to pay is due to the Navy water rate increase hike. At least that's my perception of it, right? How are we doing? I know, correct me if I'm wrong, at the last meeting or at the work session, Miguel said you are in discussion with the Navy. You're trying to see if you can mitigate this a little bit, or and I know timing forces you to do what you've done, right? And forces the PUC. It's a real cost at this point because we don't know if they're going to reduce it. How's that looking? Too early to tell? You getting any feedback from them?
We've gotten positive feedback, and I think it's looking favorable to us. We discussed, after our work session, we discussed with representatives from the Navy, both the potential, a potential credit back to GWA, and also we asked them, well, what are the rates likely to look like moving forward? And they gave us an indicative number, which if I remember correctly, has not yet received final approval on their end, but it is more in line with the rates that we started out with at the beginning of
So
fiscal
we're
year
part of your
2024.
forecast when you came up
Right,
with
right.
this.
It's carried through and all this stuff. So the one, oh, go ahead, please.
So we anticipate if that holds true and they get final approval, that there is the potential for the next true-up that we would adjust the Navy expense.
Okay. So asking our colleagues at the CCU level, what about identifying this $8 million rate increase as a separate line item on the bill, as we've done in the past, like for a retirement, so that the ratepayers know that half of the rate increase is 54% of the rate increase is because of the Navy's $8 million increase in water rates in 1 year, and that we would put that as a separate line so that the total impact on the total bill is 11.5%, but half of it is because you know, 8/15 is half of it is more than half of it. 54% of it is because of the Navy's $8 million a year water rate increase. It's full disclosure to the ratepayer. It's sort of like the LEAC in the sense that, hey, this is way beyond our control, and the rate increase would not only would this year's rate increase be much lower, all the following year rate increases, the cumulative impact would be much lower because they raised it $8 million in like 3 months, right? And I don't know whether the last time this happened, we led a concerted effort between management and the board to approach the Navy and saying this is unacceptable, and in terms of full disclosure to our ratepayers, they should know that their rate increase would have been much lower if it wasn't for this rate increase by the Navy. So I want to throw that out as an idea now that it's been approved to be paid for by rates for now until hopefully Miguel is successful, that we show our ratepayers that your rate increase would have been much lower if the Navy had not doubled their cost of water in a year, less than a year.
I would
So I throw that out to our colleagues for discussion.
I would take a different view, because basically the rates that we got are the rates we asked for, irrespective of the Navy's action. In other words, the money we wanted, the rates won't go down because we have projects to do with this money. We needed the revenue of 11 point whatever that is.
But half of the revenue we needed is to pay for an $8 million a year rate increase.
No.
That's not going to anything but the Navy.
No. That's what I'm trying to.
I know we got what
Okay,
we
wait,
wanted,
wait,
but it includes
wait.
half of it is to pay the Navy.
No, because the rate package that we negotiated, that was adjudicated, is to get those rates to do the work that we needed to do. The way I'd like to paint it is, if we don't get a positive resolution from the military, then basically they're taking money from us that we do need to spend. What I'm trying to point out is the rates wouldn't go down because the money that is needed by GWA to do projects and do other work.
I guess my issue is we should be protesting
Yeah,
the
no, no, no.
doubling of the water rates by
yeah.
the Navy
Wait.
in a single fiscal year.
Well, see, I would like to tell you that
I know we got
I
what we
agree.
wanted, but
No,
we,
no.
we would need 8 million less in rates if the Navy didn't double.
No, no.
To me.
Let me just clarify something.
Yeah.
Miguel, I thought when we originally presented 11 and a half, or at least the rates that we're proposing that's been approved, that was what we asked for.
Right.
As our first year rate, 11.5.
For our needs.
Not including what's happening to us as we speak, Commissioner Sanchez.
But look at the numbers.
No,
It
no,
in-
I
it
know,
includes the 8.
we
that
acknowledge
on the
the numbers.
expense side, you're looking at the
Didn't your,
expense side,
didn't your
right?
11 and a half include paying the Navy the additional 8?
No, it was, okay,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Miguel.
So when we submitted the original package, in the draft package in March and then the final package in June, we did not have an indication of the increase in the Navy water.
Correct.
When we negotiated the stipulation and proposed what was before the PUC last night, at that point, our Navy water purchase expenses were adjusted based on a projection of the level that we were then being currently charged. So this is after they increased their rates, right?
Right.
So we adjusted our projected expenses upwards, and that is what was in the stipulated proposal. Subsequent to that, the Navy, we requested the meeting with the Navy. The Navy reached out to us and gave us an indication, as I mentioned in the last meeting, that the rates would likely return to what we were paying at the beginning of this fiscal year. So there's the potential for it to go back to
What we are
a
paying
reasonable
today.
level. Right.
The first rate increase.
Well,
First
Right.
rate increase, yeah.
Correct, not the
Yeah.
second.
So, you know, as I understand it, though, has not had final approval.
Correct.
But it's indicative. And they also, I will point out, and I was remiss in not pointing it out earlier, is that they assured us moving forward that when they go through their update process, they will work with us to be more transparent about what decisions they're making to make sure that this doesn't repeat itself. And so we received an assurance of that from Joe Vinch, who runs their business operations for the public works side. So we are confident that there will be an improvement in the way this is handled in the future. The CFO has been working on the utility service agreement with the Navy, the draft of that. We had put in provisions, in the provisions that deal with rates, we had put in language that would afford us the opportunity to be advised of, have some input, or at least, you know, have some visibility before the rates are changed. And my understanding is that they are receptive to that, and as we move forward and finalize this service agreement, you know, we're hopeful that those types of measures will be included so that, again, this doesn't happen again and catch us by surprise. So I think they have heard the complaint and the protest already, and they are taking steps to address it. We didn't have enough time to, you know, go through a revision, and so the rates that were approved last night for the first year are fine. And as we move forward, if there is adjustment, it'll be handled as part of the true-up process.
So, let me, just to be clear, Miguel, when you look at the Schedule A2 that you just gave us, so Commissioner Sanchez is correct, we went from 5.9 up to 13.5. That's an expense that we're gonna project to bear starting October 1, right?
It's in our rates.
Yeah.
That's
No,
what's-
that's what I'm
that's
saying,
what's
I get that
projected
part.
here.
Right, that's gonna happen,
And the new
right?
rate
Now, when they come back to us,
13.5 or 11.5?
no, it's.
You went from 5.9 to 13.6, so
which
it's
is basically-
7.6 million.
Round it up, say $1 million.
7, 8
right?
million.
Yeah.
So, in terms
Oh,
of cost, so
costs,
we're
okay.
gonna, and it's gonna.
Cash.
I was just
rates.
looking at the
Well,
rate increase.
So Miguel, when they so-called come back to us, I mean, what do you project that expense to be?
Well, based on the representations that
Yeah.
were made, by the end of fiscal year 25, it will be lower than this amount.
Yeah,
Lower-
okay.
Lower than the
13.5 that we
Yes.
Yeah.
kind of told we're gonna get. We're gonna get, I mean, let's be blunt, slammed with.
Right.
Because we had no time to really prepare for
Then
this.
Maria starts paying this next week, or with the
Well,
October billing.
Yeah.
But the other thing to recall is that we've made, in the negotiation and the stipulation and the things that we have addressed with Georgetown, the total rate increases that we've negotiated,
And
yes,
approved.
they include
Yeah.
additional expenses, but the bulk of it is so that we have the debt service to pay for our capital improvement program, which is really
Critical to what we-
critical, but also it's the largest five-year capital improvement program that we've ever seen,
Okay.
right? And so that is really what drives the rates.
Okay,
And if there is a reduction in Navy water purchase expense, great, but that gives us more capacity to accomplish the projects.
Right.
And it could mean more revenue-funded contributions to that capital improvement program versus having to borrow for it. So it could reduce the overall cost. And so for those reasons, you know, as the chairman pointed out, the rates that we've asked for are appropriate and just, regardless of what happens with the Navy water purchase expenses.
I just want to be clear, Commissioner Sanchez, and the three of us were there last night. Commissioner Brooks made it clear that, you know, starting with us here, it is our job kind of to be reminding the Navy that this is not acceptable. And I think we made that clear because we've taken the position, no, you're not going to get this. However, you slammed it on us, and Miguel has his own marching orders as we speak.
No, and I appreciate all of
Yeah.
that. I think, but, you know, and now that the rate case, at
Yes.
least for now, has been
Right.
resolved, I mean, the simple math is, our revenues are going up 14.8 million, but 7.6 million of it is going to pay for a Navy water rate increase. So that's where I'm saying 50% of the rate increase that our ratepayers will start to pay October 1st is due to an exorbitant rate increase by the Navy. We've also had a history, and I think Miguel is following that history, of challenging the Navy on this and saying, look, this is unacceptable. I think I shared with the commission, we even got the Secretary of the Navy, B.J. Penn, to write a letter from the Pentagon to Navy saying, no. So, everyone in this room has voted for rate increases to make our system better. But when you have a cost increase that just, we run a water treatment plant ourselves.
Yeah.
And if Miguel came to us and said, can I double my cost of running that thing? We would say, hey, explain why and justify it. But it seems to me, Miguel, correct me if I'm wrong, if the Navy didn't increase the 7.6 million in their water purchase charges to us, wouldn't the revenue requirement in 2025 be lower? Or the 7.6 million could be going to our reserves to pay for, the one thing I'm noticing, over the next 5 years, 5 times 7.6 million is $38 million, $38 million. Miguel's financing plan has an excellent way of using working capital instead of borrowing to fund $100 million in projects. Navy just took away $38 million of that money over the next 5 years that when Miguel presented to us in Tolling 5-6 months ago, he was building up cash so we didn't have to borrow the money. Excellent. The Navy just cut 38 out of that 100 million over the next 5 years. That means our ratepayers, over time, if we don't get an adjustment, are going to be forced to pay. We're going to pass this on. And I just think that we should at least identify it for ratepayers, that part of your rate increase that you're paying in a few weeks is because the Navy has more than doubled the cost of Fenno water for reasons we don't even know. I mean, they're promising in the future, we'll clue you guys in, right? But again, that doesn't help us with our ratepayers. And everybody's paying for this, right? It's, not everybody uses Fenno water, but the system, we correctly have a philosophy that says all costs are passed on to all ratepayers. We don't sit there and go, this Dead will get a bit different water rate because they have the aquifer than somebody else that doesn't have the aquifer, right? So it's passed on to all of our ratepayers. And having been through this issue before, and dealt with it aggressively, even to the point that we went to the Pentagon and the Secretary of the Navy, who intervened and said, no, this is unacceptable. I'm at least saying, for now, full disclosure, let's disclose and break out on the bill how much of the current rate increase that will take effect in a few weeks is caused by the Navy water increase, and then we'll see what if they do anything, right? But at least we disclose it, and that's something I want to throw out to us
Commissioner Chalco has
as a commission.
comment.
Yeah, I'm open to that, Commissioner Sanchez, but I think we should give the Navy an opportunity to respond and give us whether or not they can correct that. I mean, they've already kind of indicated that they might, so I think it would be fair to give them some time to do that, and maybe, we take it up at the next CCU meeting, based on those conversations.
Okay, then, but can we at least disclose to the public that last night's decision by the PUC includes 50% of the revenue increase that GWA will appreciate, or however, I trust Miguel and the team, come up with the press release that clarifies that, look, last night's, I don't know if the PUC is going to issue a rate increase. I don't know what the media is going to say. I only know we can only control what we say. But I think we owe it to our ratepayers to say, based on the PUC decision last night, your rates are going to do what they're going to do, right? But that we could add in that press release a recognition that based on my simple math, almost half of this rate increase is due to the result of the fact that the Navy has raised their cost of water from FENA by $8 million a year, so that the ratepayers are aware that the rates would not be the same, the rate increases would not be the same, or even if they were the same, we would be building up cash for future savings for ratepayers by using $38 million over the next 5 years that we don't have to borrow from the bond markets and pay interest on. Miguel's original plan was well thought out. It said, I want to put $100 million from rates into paying for things out of cash flow than out of borrowing with interest. And that's a plan we've all accepted so far. It makes sense. The Navy just took out $38 million of that $100 million.
Okay.
And
So
that concerns me greatly, and I think we should tell our ratepayers that.
And I think we've heard your comment very clearly. The only thing I want to stress, though, is the fact that we asked for this revenue requirement that we did before we knew about the Navy's action, one. Two, even if we did not resolve it amicably and to what we believe would be just, even if that didn't happen, or if that happened and we were able to get a good adjustment, there would be no rate reduction. That's my point. We're going to continue to collect this money because the money's going to go exactly to what you said, to these other things that Miguel was going to do. I don't want to give our ratepayers the information or the perception that if somehow we resolve this positively for ourselves and for our ratepayers, that all of a sudden we can say, oh, now we can reduce this first year rate increase. It's not going to be reduced because we still need this money.
But
I just want to make sure we're clear on that.
I get it, but
Okay,
but
as long as
Miguel,
we're clear on that.
but
Are we clear?
Miguel's plan, which we endorsed, I endorsed, right, especially in the back end, right, that 7.5% rate increase assumed he wouldn't have to borrow $38 million more on the bond market because he was going to pull it out of working capital.
but Commissioner
Now we're going to have to do that.
But Commissioner Sanchez, I just want to make sure that we're really transparent with our ratepayers in saying that, you know what? The original rate plan did not take into account the Navy input, the Navy of impact, okay? So we can acknowledge that there's an impact and it's a negative impact. That I agree. But I want to make sure they understand that the rates that we asked for are the rates that we needed to do all the work we need to do. And there's not going to be a rate reduction because the Navy says, okay, we agree with you, GWA, and we're going to moderate and change our position. I want to make sure that I don't want the ratepayers to say, oh, okay, so I'm going to get a rate reduction, because they're not. The plan originally done had that money going to a specific place. Now, the way it works is all the money that we bring in has to pay for all of our just expenses. Okay? And if there's an expense that we didn't anticipate, we're going to have to cover it. and we'll take that up at the true up, and as we go forward with our next rate increases. Okay, that's the only point I want to make sure. Okay, Commissioner Chapman, did you want to add something else?
Yeah, Miguel, can you go over the schedules that were provided as a supplemental today? And we just want to communicate, one, I have two questions, is what is the general impact on, an average water bill to the public? And specifically, after you address that, in regards to the rate stabilization fund, what is the dollar impact to the bill based on what was approved by the PUC last night? Roughly.
Okay, I'll start with the first one, and maybe the CFO can work on calculating the second one while I'm going over the bills. So on Schedule L that was provided, you could see a breakdown of sample bill impacts by customer class, and just for the purposes of the average, what's considered the average residential consumption, we'll look at the 7,000 kgals. That number. So for a combined water and wastewater bill at 7,000 gallons per month, the current bill would be $111.74. And under the approved rate increases for fiscal year 25, that would rise to $124.44. So it's an 11.4% increase, an increase in dollar amount of $12.70. So that's for next year. The remaining years are also listed on that schedule. So for fiscal year 26, it would go from $124.44 to $131.65. So that's a $7.21 increase, an additional 5.8% in fiscal year 26. And the difference there is because the lifeline rate isn't increased, was only in fiscal year 25. Okay, and so the volumetric rate is what gets increased in 2026, and based on that, it's a lower percentage impact to the bill. Similarly, in 27, it would be increased $5.77 or 4.4%, and then in fiscal year 28, an additional $6.36, and that would be an additional 4.6%, and in 29. $6.87, an additional percentage impact of 4.8%. So cumulatively over the 5-year period, the monthly bill would increase by $38.91, or a total of 34.8% from over 2024 rates.
Okay, and then in regards to the rate stabilization fund, what was approved at the PUC last night, roughly what impact does that have on the average, 7th kcal bill?
It was originally a request of 1.5%, and they approved half that in dollar amount. They approved half of it, so it would
It
work
went
out
down
roughly to 0.75.
So just under $1 or something, roughly, 0.75 of the 111?
Right.
Yeah, so under $1.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Any further questions? No? From Miguel? Okay. Thank you very much. John, is your crew in? You have only 3 resolutions anyway. You're short tonight, John.
Do you know though what the delta between the originally proposed rates and the new 11.5 to account for the Navy water purchase?
No.
That's what I wanted to look at. What did you
You have your team with you, John, or you're in?
What he submitted to the.
Okay, they're coming in.
Here's my concern.
Okay.
He's counting on, and I hope he's right, by reducing Navy water, we
You
actually,
want to take a 5-minute
water
recess?
usage, we actually go lower, right?
Right.
And that's how we.
We'll just recess for 5 minutes while your team gets
So,
in.
I mean,
And I'm going
and
to.
I don't, but again,
Uh, I think
Where,
And then when they give us the credit,
John,
30
you're up to bat.
okay, thank you, good evening, Commissioners. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we may go to the resolutions.
Sure,
And
yeah.
then answer any other questions you may have after that. First resolution is FY 2024-2028. And then this is related to approval of the purchase of water system diesel generator. As the Commission may recall, you did pass FY 2024-06 resolution, which we requested for 104 generators at a total of 9.5 million. Yourself and the CCA did approve that. We did issue 3 bids, and the first bid was 0048, which the Commission approved last time, and that was for 60 generators at 3.006 million plus. I had authority to approve the 29 generators at 750. And then this is now the third resolution. This is now the third part of the bid, which is GPA 052-24. And this is asking now for 14. And these are the bigger units, 500 kilowatt, 10. Okay. Yeah.
He's got his mic on.
Is it working?
Yes, sir. There you
Okay.
go.
All right.
So again, there are 14 units, and again, about 10 500 kilowatt, 2 800 kilowatt, and 2 1400 kilowatt. And this include installation of the units for a total of 3.177636.33. With the commission asked in the work session, the warranty, and the warranty for the generators actually is 1 year. The warranty for installation is 90 days. And then there's a listing of the locations, and it's provided here. Yeah, what's on the schedule. And again, it includes Fujita, Ugam, wastewater treatment, all the different areas, in addition to 2 mobile generators that could be moved around as necessary to cover that. Again, the total then for our 3 bids came out to be a total of about 6.94 million versus the 9.5 million. So you're looking at a little bit almost close to yes, or 3 million less than the original estimate. So
I just want first to accept GPA resolution 2024-28.
Second.
Mr. Chair, if I could, my company was involved in this bid, so I'd like to ask for recusal from the discussion as well as the vote. So I'll step
No
outside.
objection, no objection.
so again,
I don't
Mr.
think you need to go, Commissioner Newcastle. That's good. Anyways, I just have one question, and you go to the last page there. The question is this FEMA reimbursable?
Yeah.
And of course, we don't know at this point,
Right.
but if we do get any kind of reimbursement, where does that money go?
Goes back into our
Your
cash,
operational
and all of that. So, and then again, what that is a lot of that is what we're recovering from the REIC, and that will be going to CIPs as we are doing now.
That's interesting.
So that's it, Mr. Chair. Is your request to
Right.
yeah.
Second item.
Sanchez, okay.
Just that we can't wait. We want to get this
sure.
going because it's going to
Okay.
take about a year and a half, I believe, for all of
Is
these
there
things
any
to
other
get done.
questions? No? Okay, ready for the call on the motion? All those in favor signify by raising your hand. Okay, there's 4 aye votes with Commissioner Martinez online. And 1 excused, 1 recused rather. Okay, motion is adopted. John, next one?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. GPA resolution number FY 2024-31. And again, this is relative to approval for the replacement of the PD substation T7 transformer. T7 transformer serves actually as a backup, but also primarily also for backup to the Navy's T8 transformer and its military feeders. Most importantly, we back up each other, really 7 and 8, and it's in our side. It actually serves the villages of Assen, PD, Nimitz Hill, and the Port Authority of Guam. So right now we're only operating on T8, and so we're trying to get this whole thing replaced. We have bought the transformer. However, the installation process, which now goes through, again, as mentioned before, a rigorous process because it involves military land.
Sure.
And again, because it's not transferred yet to GPA. We estimate that to cost about $2.8 million and will take about 14 months to complete. So your approval is requested to proceed.
Yeah, motion to accept GPA resolution 2024-31.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Sanchez. Any further discussion by the members? And no? Okay. Call for the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. We recognize the aye from Commissioner Martinez. So unanimous, 5 votes. The motion is adopted. Next one, John?
Resolution FY 2024-32. Unfortunately, we didn't bring this to you in a work session because of time constraint on the agenda issue, and we weren't ready at the time. But this is really now to provide, this is for the delivery of fuel oil for basically what we call 4 site locations. Site 1 is to Jigo CT and Jigo Diesel. Site 2 is to Machetsi CT and Dededu CT. Site 3 is to Cabas 1 and 2 and PD7, and the last is Manenguan Diesels and Talapopo Diesel power plant. The process of going through a bid, of course, the 2 bidders are mainly IP&E and Mobile. In the Exhibit A, that is there with the resolution, Mr. Chair. Uh, it shows that for site location A, Mobile is the lowest bidder. Really, and most of this is the delivery component, which is coming in at 28.4 cents per gallon, while IP&E came in at 60 cents. For site 2, IP&E is the low bidder. It came in at 30 cents, while Mobile came in at 33.65 cents, 0.3365 cents. For site location 3, which is Cabras and PD, again, IP&E is the low bidder at 25 cents a gallon, while Mobile came in at 46.34. The last location, Nenguin and Talapofo, the low bidder is actually Mobile, and they came in at 0.486 versus 0.60 of IP&E. Of course, this also includes the delivery of fuel. It includes the fuel and delivery of fuel, and as such, the estimated total cost awards will be approximately 99.324 million for IP&E and about 71.270 million for bidder number 2. There are provisions in the contract again where at some point in time when we are able to start delivering to some of these locations, we can deliver and work that scenario out. And again, what I'm talking about is when we do get the gantry crane up there, it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to, there's really not a minimum quantity that is determined by all of this, but we do have alternatives to deliver fuel.
Okay. So, Commissioner Santos has a question.
You just refresh my memory. What is the fixed service fee cost again?
The fixed service fee is for the trucking and all of that.
The whole delivery
The delivery.
aspect of this deal.
The other one is the fuel, and then the fuel varies with the
Price of the
price and the planogram, no? Depending on prices are up or down, but it's really the fixed fee that's determined between the two. Most of them are the same.
Okay.
Okay. Commissioner Chaco.
JB, I noticed that there's, for different site locations, there's different base contract years. Is this, are the shorter base contract years, the 2-year base contracts, are these the units that you intend on, why is that? Is it, are they decommissioning something sooner rather than the other, or is it,
That's a good question. You did.
Site 1 has a
Site
3-year
one is,
base?
Jigo and Jigo Diesel were 3 years, and the others were a 2-year base contract. I don't really have an answer for you right now. Jen, do you know why?
Maybe
Yeah, I
just
think-
a, maybe
Is
just a
that
typo?
error?
You're looking on page 383?
Yeah, on
Yeah.
page 383.
Yeah, I think that's correct. And the resolution, they're all 3 years.
Yeah.
So I think that's a typo on the.
Okay.
Our apologies.
Okay.
That's all 3 years.
And then if they were, is there any adjustment if they were to load out of the Ukudu gantry? Because
No, that's something that we have to take at that time. We may negotiate it, or we go out on a bid.
because they're gonna be doing like half the distance, right? Leaving out of Ukudu, going to Jigo.
So we're kind of set where, okay, this is what we've normally done, but then when, because Ukudu has been on and off until we get to that point, then we will work on the adjustment for that, because the other part of it is, of course, our fuel costs based on bulk delivery will be lower. So we'll be wanting them to deliver our fuel, which may even open this up to more tanker truck.
Oh, that's right. This is fuel supply plus delivery. And in that case, when it's at Ukudu, you're just pumping it up. You're doing your own.
Bulk
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that opportunity will come up. It's just that again, we don't have anything set yet.
Okay, that's all the
Commissioner
questions.
Santos, you have
So
any
just
question?
help me understand, John. The fuel storage sites at Ukudu belong to Kepco. We're storing our fuel in there that gets sent in?
Well, eventually us, because
Well,
we're
actually,
buying the plane.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's not as we speak today, right? So, go ahead.
Actually, yes, it'll be our field, and so we just have to account for what's in, what's burned by the power plant, and what.
And what's gonna come out as we take to go to the sites.
But they insure that fuel. They insure that.
The fuel or the tank?
They insure
The
the
tank, for sure.
tank, and I believe, I'm not quite sure, John.
No,
you
we
know,
insure the
they
fuel.
Because
insure
that's
the
a
fuel.
lot of fuel.
Right.
Okay.
We insure all the fuel.
Every year we tell them what the inventory we have.
Yeah.
So like last year it's about $50-some million, so we insured about $50-some million of fuel.
So the tank and everything else they insure.
But eventually we own the tank and the plane.
Yeah, but as we speak, so again, my whole thing on the insurance side, John K. and John B. We require them to carry a insurance policy, right? To make sure that,
For everything, for everything they build.
Yeah.
Right. Because they're, right now, it's all their risk anyway.
So the fuel,
except,
Well, we're paying 125th and 120th, for now they're carrying the risk.
the fuel is all ours,
yeah, as we speak,
Yeah, no
regardless.
matter
And that
whether
would
they
be the
hold it
same
or
for
not, it's
LNG.
just that,
Yeah, but the gantry belongs to them, right? It's on their,
It'll be ours also.
we own the gantry.
We're gonna own the gantry, I think, because that, yeah, I would think we will own the gantry. We'll
No, I mean-
verify for you. But yeah,
Okay, yeah, that's,
because we're gonna be operating that gantry.
oh, but it's gonna be on their property.
It's on our property.
For now, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
the
It's
facility's
sort of,
not
it's sort
ours.
of like the bank owns your house until you
Well,
pay
until-
it off,
yeah,
and you
yeah,
get to
but
live in
that-
it. They get to live in it, and
But
we're
we
gonna
put a
pay
very
them.
expensive gantry.
It's obvious, it's
That piece of
obviously,
furniture is not cheap.
Yeah, the furniture, that's a
Yeah.
good question on the
That furniture is, I mean, can I ask, what's the gantry worth?
Jenna,
Jen, just out of.
do you have an
Can
idea?
you get that back to
Or you
us? I'm
can
just-
email it to us.
Yeah, because obviously, if you're telling me it's ours, we have to insure that. Okay, and I don't remember that discussion, John K., yeah.
off the top of my head, we were
think
talking
you
about.
better ask for an
$1 million
extension, 'cause I wanna-
for the gantry, you know.
Is that in the risk report? Yeah? Probably not, right? 'Cause-
Not yet, because it's not in service, I would say.
Okay. Okay,
Till the
mo-
till the building.
Yeah.
Okay,
Mr. Chair, motion
So,
to approve.
We'll answer that.
yeah, I got you.
Motion to approve FY 2024-32 relative to authorizing the management of the Guam Power Authority to petition the Public Utilities Commission to award the contract for the supply of diesel fuel.
Second.
second by Commissioner Santos. Any further discussion? Nope, we're ready. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We recognize Commissioner Martinez's aye. So 5 aye votes.
Okay.
Okay, John, that's it.
GM report, I don't have much more to report, Mr.
Yeah, that's
Chair,
okay.
or
Thank you,
financials.
we're good.
Yeah, no, so, there is no executive session needed tonight.
Oh, there isn't? Okay, it's on the agenda.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Either?
we-
Okay, good.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, I didn't think I signed it.
Here, it's already,
I did?
So,
there you go.
motion
All right, motion to adjourn, Mr. Chair.
Motion to adjourn, second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you very much.
Question, we're gonna check on that, because I would think we're